now, but I remember earlier in the week or last week watching. They were showing the Bulls and they couldn't get past the Pistons, right? Couldn't get past the Celtics. So I just want to just tell you, athletes out there, look at how many people are good in the sport that you do, right? So I always feel a lot of people. I always see. I have friends that have children, relatives and stuff like that, and I always see that they're always talking about their immediate competition, their competition on the team, their competition on the league, and that's all good. But for the individual, I want to tell you guys that you should be, if you strive to be something that's worldly, like if you're the best in the world or one of the tops in the world, you have to look at competing against the world and not only who you're seeing every day, right? I see this with coaches as well. Never the best guy on your team doesn't necessarily mean that player is doing everything that they should be doing to be the best that they could be. And so that's just what I just want to relay to you guys is mentally, when going back to the mental part of it, looking at The Last Dance, Jordan and the Bulls couldn't get past the Pistons. And it showed on there that they got in the weight room and they didn't go on vacation, and they just started hitting it after they lost. Well, they decided to not only work on their physical body, but they decided to get their mind right? They showed when Rodman fouled Pippen and it didn't even, and he got up and it didn't faze him. That was the mental toughness and the stuff that you have to work on to be able to go through, to get to the levels that you want to get to. If it comes down to football is a very, very violent game. And I don't think a lot of people know what I'm talking about, period, but especially at the higher levels, college, pro, it's a very violent game. And you have to get your mind right for it. Me coming up, my dad always was talking to me about the game and the elements of the game and how to play, what to look for, how to break down the plays, what to do, and how to be a technician. He wasn't really necessarily physically out there throwing the football with me like how most people would think. It was like he bought me all the footballs and any sport I was playing, he bought me all the equipment, but I had to get out there and do it. But I'll just say that one time I heard him on the phone. He was talking to his friend, and I guess his friend must have asked how I was doing, and he said, "Oh, his high school's pretty good. I went to Elk Grove High School." He said they won the championship last year. He got to play a little bit, started a couple games. He said, he'll probably go to a Division II, some small college or something. He needs to be a little bit more aggressive. And I'm sitting there thinking, what am I, 17 years old, and I'm sitting there listening to his conversation. I'm like, I need to be more aggressive, you ain't like what are you over there talking about? So my senior year, that's just what it was. Like hearing my dad say that, I wanted to show him that I was more aggressive. And that's how I was able to mentally start to begin to flip the switch. Going to Elk Grove, a traditional high school, known for football. We were known for the wing T, so everything, like most schools, is always about offense. All the offensive guys would always get in the paper. Their yardage would be, if I had 10 tackles or whatever, I'm not going to be in the paper. And then in that South Sacramento area, being out of Sacramento per se, we weren't really ever in the B per se, like how a lot of the other inner city schools were. So I used to see the paper, wanting to, you always want to make the paper. And I remember one time they came out with the biggest hitters or whatever, and I'm like, I had some big hits, so I go through and I'm looking at it, and I see my boy Easton Ramson on there from Christian Brothers, and I'm like, okay, a DB. Then I see my old neighbor Nigel Burton. He was on there. And then I see a linebacker, I think of Johnson, Frank Caballero. And I keep going and I don't see me. So I'm just looking at all the guys and I'm like, dang, I guess I'm not as good as I thought I was, But that didn't deter me. I was still on my mission. So fast forward, that year back in the day, the Optimus game used to be in the summertime, right? So football season would end in the fall, and when you got picked for the All-Star game, you had to wait all the way until the summer to play. So, that's how it was for us. And so you figure for me, it was like, my growth and my development, especially mentally, I was a totally different player. So when it came down to All-Star practice, I was out there playing a game because I had never forgot all those dudes that made the paper. And I wanted to see why they were in the paper. I just, I was looking for where Frank Cavallero was, because he wasn't out there. All the running backs. I think Ephraim Salam, one of our linemen, Zach Johnson, and Norman Miller, I think they were in the California State game, so they weren't in practice early. They came late. But, because I wanted to see what was up with this Norman Miller guy. But, practices were, for me, I was out there playing a game because I wanted to put my skills up. I said, this is the best in Sacramento. Well, they're going to see me today if they didn't get to see me during the year. And, I had to tone it down after, because, coaches and the players started being like, hey, Ross, man, this is like, we're all teammates out here now, but it was, for me, I was serious about it. And that's what you have to be when you want to be the best and you want to keep going to another level. You have to compete against the people that you can't see. And I think that's always the toughest. And that's why I always say, if you yourself can compete against yourself, then you'll always win, right? Because there was guys that I faced, and they were good. I could say like Jonathan Ogden, wasn't really beating him, going around and moving him. He's a Hall of Fame tackle. There's a lot of talented people out there that can be better than you, and then there's some that look like they are and they're not. But I just always want to make sure that I was prepared. And so but a big part of it that I don't see a lot, I see a lot of training facilities, and I see a lot of people getting their feet and their hips and all this stuff right, and that's needed, don't get me wrong. But if you want to go to the next level mentally, you have to be prepared mentally to do it. And it's football, a game of football. It's a violent sport. Even if you're a wide receiver, you're on offense, violent in terms of you can be hit. You could also do the hitting, but rarely, but you just have to mentally prepare your body for that. And I feel that a lot of what I see, everybody's trying to be a pro too soon. And you have nowhere near a pro mentality, right? And, I guess everybody gets to see pull-up stuff on YouTube or do whatever. And, you can make the one-handed catch or whatever like Beckham and all this stuff. But, when it's not at that highest level, it's different. There's like, you got to keep lining up and doing it again and again. But I just want to encourage you parents out there to challenge your athletes. Now, I'm not talking. This isn't for everybody, right? Some people are at the level that they're going to play at, and they're doing fine there. I think my dad knew, he knew who we were, he knew who he was, and he knew who I was going to be. So he was pushing me like I needed to be pushed, and it was continual for me. You know, when I went on to Colorado State, it was the same thing. You know, I had to watch other guys. You know, I had to look at the Brady Smiths. I look at how Sean Moran and the violence that that they struck with. You know, our coaches taught us that, and I just, you know, I studied and watched film about, you know, just on hand placement. And there's another thing, you know, it's like everybody, you know, I'm going back to The Last Dance, you know, we got Michael Jordan and, you know, he's the hero, but there's nothing wrong with the villain. You know, like you see the Bad Boys Pistons, I guess they played Jordan's villain role, right? But the villain is real good too, you know, and so there's a lot of you out there that everybody wants to be friends. And you know, when you take off and you leave from high school and you go get the scholarship at whatever school you're at, you know, with some of the people that you left, it seems you may seem like you're winning, you know. And I'm not talking about winning like, you know, I'm just talking about the broad general sense of winning as, oh, hey, I left and got a scholarship. Well, was it your goal to just get to school and get a scholarship? That's fine if it is. I'm not talking about people or anything. I'm just talking to the athletes that want to go further. Or is it that you got the scholarship to where you want to be and you still want to go, or you want to be better once you get there? Is it a continual growth, or is it, hey, you know, hey, I'm here, I get to post and show that I'm at school, I get to join all the other conversations that everybody else that isn't playing the sport is in? Or do you have your nose and face in the books and your butt in the weight room and your feet out there on the field or the court or whatever it is? Are you putting in work to utilize the time to be the best that you can be? You know, and that's what it's about. Yeah, I'm gonna post some of the Optimus game footage on here. My dad was one. For those of you guys at Elk Grove, you guys probably have more stories than me of my dad being in the stands talking. Like sometimes I just hear what he'd say. They got seats behind the student section. I don't know what for, but he'd be telling the students to sit down. He can't see and all this stuff. But my dad would, he'd be yelling at me from the stands up on the field. Sometimes I could hear, but sometimes I couldn't. But he'd call out plays. And a lot of when you see me pumped up and you see me like doing stuff, it's like I'm actually like competing against my dad. Like during the game, it's like I'm talking to him. Like, you thought, you know, like, is that aggressive? And I'm just talking stuff to him. But I didn't know it then, but it's funny when I could see and I could go back and look at it now. I started being able to flip that switch, and I didn't necessarily have control over it then. In college, I had the Matt Crafts and the Mark Smith Sams and Leonis Browns and the E.J. Watsons and them to tell me. They'd say, hey, man, Ross, man, you know, man, when you get mad, man, you need to play like that. You need to play like that. And so I had to figure out in that business, in that job, in that sport, how to actually turn that on and keep it on. You know, and that's an art and that's a craft. I think, like, when you look at your Michael Jordans, your Wilt Chamberlains, Kareem Abdul-Jabbars, LeBron James, Scottie Pippen, all these guys, like, they're able to be at that high level whenever they want to. You know, and that's what sets them apart. For example, Lamar Odom. They said he was more talented than Kobe, they say. He just didn't have the killer mindset that a Kobe Bryant had. You know, and that is not talked about enough, is that mindset and having that killer attitude and what it could do for you. Um, you know, I was one in college that just whoever we were playing, I want to beat the team and I want to break it down. We're playing Fresno, okay, Fresno State, okay. I know Michael Pittman's the running back. I know the tackle's pretty good as well. And just what kind of offense they run and breaking it down. But I didn't ever really look to compete against the person directly across from me as far as lineman wise, because I had been a linebacker most of my life, and I was a defensive lineman. So I remember my senior year, Coach Thurman Moore, T Money, I came in the locker room. We're playing San Diego State, and we always beat San Diego State. And I come to my locker, and everybody's looking at me, and I see some stuff on my locker, and I'm like, who is this? Who is this on my locker? And I see this dude, and I'm like, Kyle Turley, nation's best lineman, so on and so forth. And I knew my boy Ephraim Salam over there. Now, I hadn't just broken down the line. I kind of like the line was what they were, and I was always backer-wise looking beyond the line. So it was like my coach that whole week gave me all this focus on Kyle Turley. And I'm just like, whatever, But so we're playing San Diego State. I think our offense had the ball first. So when we were on defense, it was a TV timeout. And so I had a visor. I think Kyle had a visor. So I remember being in the huddle, and we break the call, we the play's called, and we break the huddle, and I'm looking across, and I see Turley, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is on, because that's the nation's best right there, and it was a battle. I mean, of course, Colorado State won, whatnot. Actually, Kyle, I got you kicked out that game too, as a matter of fact. But Kyle was a beast, and shoot, getting him kicked out didn't do nothing, because all they did was move Ephraim over there, and two of the best linemen up in the league. We have another guy from our conference is Adrian Clem, out from Hawaii. But all those guys going up against them made me better and made me know I was not no defensive end as well. I want to be back in linebacker. I did what I need to do for my team. But, it was those guys had the same mindset, and I could tell when I looked across at them, Kyle Turley was the first lineman picked in the draft that year. Ephraim got drafted. Clem, I don't know. I think Clem got drafted as well, but I know he played in the league for a while. But all these guys had that mindset, and I just want to encourage you guys to do that as well. What's up, Jake? What's up, Trevor? What up, Alec? Y'all have any questions for me before I get off? What's up, Pease? What's up, John? What's up, James? Competing against the world versus people even on your own team. Yeah. I mean, it's a competition, like if you can push yourself to limits that you don't know, then you've done the best that you could do, and you've prepared yourself for anything, and then that's when they say respect. You can go across and shake the next man or the woman's hand, and you can respect their game, and that's what it's all about. EJ, impose your will. That's exactly what it is. I know at DN Colorado State I was undersized, and I just knew that my conditioning, I knew my strength, I knew that I was in shape, and I said, okay, come fourth quarter, we're going to test the hearts of men, because I'm going to see, because I'm still going to be getting off. I'm still going to be going. And hopefully you've lost a step. And that's what I'm gonna get you. You know, I was on that Jerry Rice theory where I'm gonna be able to run this. I'm not as fast as all the fast guys, but I'm gonna be able to run the same speed the whole time. And that's what it was for me, as well as pushing plates. What's up, Amity? What's up, Myron? Lewis Breeden, what's going on, big homie? Oh, James, you guys are dealing with that now? What's up, Emily? What's up, Aaliyah? What's up, Paul? Any questions for me on here? I don't know how to, oh, yeah, I don't know how to get to questions. I think that's what I was doing. What's up, Jake Hofard, Yuba City Spinist? Any questions? I think. What's up, Duana? I think the questions come on there. I don't know. But all right, y'all. Peace and love.